All right, welcome into another edition of Off the Leash. I'm Ashley Holder. That's Leah Doherty, and OBR's Fred Greetham. Mark is out of the building tonight.
Already on his holiday break.
Yeah, he's already on his holiday break. You know, he's just enjoying his Christmas holiday already while we're here talking about the Browns
sweater on.
I love your Christmas sweater.
It says, for those that are listening to the podcast, my mom gave it to me. It says, "Merry Christmas, y'all," because I'm from Texas.
Very Southern.
Thank you.
Very
Thank y'all
Southern.
very much.
All right, so the Browns lose this one 23-20. This was a lot closer of a game than what we anticipated and what we were talking about last week on the pod. It looked like the Browns started off kind of, a little bit strong on this one, but then, managed to stay in this fight with them. We saw some injuries. We'll talk about Quinshon Judkins. We know he is done for the remainder of the season. We saw Shador with an injury. A lot to get to, but the Bills really did not play well on both sides of the ball 4 quarters through, but they managed to escape with a win because this would have been a terrible loss for them. But yeah, the Bills winning this one 23-20. Fred, what'd you see out there?
Well, playoff teams find ways to win even on an off day. They had their running game, and you knew that was what it was going to be coming in. And I think, all season, Browns, it's almost better if they lose the toss because the other team defers. Kevin Stefanski and his offense has shown they can script that first series, and they went right down the field, 8 plays, 69 yards. It looked like a great offense. Get a 7-0 lead. Of course, the defense gave it right up, but at least you're not playing from behind the whole game. I think the difference was in the first half. They gave up 133 yards and 100 yards rushing to James Cook in the first half, and that was all their touchdowns, but it held up. Again, we saw the special teams come into play, bobble a snap, which in the end, you have a tie game if you don't bobble the snap, assuming that Smith makes the field goal. So, again, the Browns find a way to lose, but yeah, they played a lot better. At this point in the season, I think a lot of people thought you're going to get beat 30-0 or very similar to last week against the Bears. So it's good to see them win. Unfortunate injury, but overall, I guess in the big picture, it's probably, what you wanted.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We'll get in the injury, but you go ahead, Leah.
It was more competitive than I thought it was going to be. Same story like you mentioned, special teams blunders. But again, great stuff from Harold Fannin Jr. We saw 2 touchdowns out of him. The opening drive for the Browns looked great. I mean, Shador was 5 for 5 on it, marched downfield, and then he finds Fannin for the touchdown. And so I think you saw, like we've said, those glimpses of flashes on the offense. And then I know we're going to go into it more. But after Quinshon went down, the production that you saw from Travion Williams and Rocket, that was good to see those guys step up, because I think when you saw Quinshon go down, you were like, they have nothing. They're not going to be competitive in this game. Like, they're done. We already know the O-line's banged up, and then you lose your top rusher by a long shot. Dylan Sampson's already out. Jerome Ford's already out. So we're like, they're going to have nothing on the ground game. And so I think you saw, like we've talked about, some baby steps in the right direction, a little bit of productivity. And yeah, the fact that they, like we've said all season, should have won this game, gave themselves a chance to win this game, and then ultimately self-inflicted mistakes, they don't. And wow, I mean, we'd be singing a different tune if they beat the Bills today. But of course, good teams find a way to win, and that's not the Browns this year.
It was interesting when you look at Quinshon going down, and then Shador Sanders being able to step up and just use his feet, right, and run. And that was something that we really haven't seen that much of. I mean, he led in rushing today, and a big reason of that is because Quinshon was out. And let's just go ahead and get into that. They've lost Quinshon for the remainder of the season. He goes down with a broken fibula and a broken ankle. And that's just, that is just tough to dislocate your ankle and break your fibula. I've broken my fibula before, so I know how that feels. And it's just for him to be having such a good rookie season and to be by far the best player on that team we'll say second outside of Myles Garrett, right? But the best player on offense. I mean, that is just such just a lot of juice that they're losing. Thank goodness this is the end of the season and there's really nothing to play for. But he took that catch in the backfield. Matt Milano went low. And then when you were there and you even see the replay, you just kind of see that right leg just go limp. He really can't do anything with that leg. And you just knew this was not going to be a good injury.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. He went into the game as the leading rookie rusher in the NFL, over 800 yards. I thought he really had a good chance to hit 1,000 yards. He only needed 60 yards a game. Nobody had ever done that. Even Nick Chubb finished with 996. Jim Brown didn't make 1,000 his rookie year. So that was quite a feat. It's not going to happen now. I think it bodes well for the future. And I guess the silver lining is Raheem Sanders, who has been buried on the bench, inactive all season. You can see a little glimpse why they didn't, put him on the practice squad. And you see there, he was making some tough yards. In that first game of the year, I think they put him in as the short yardage guy, and he scored a touchdown and looked pretty good, but then he hadn't played really most of the year. And so you get a look at him and see if he can be, the 1-2 punch, with Judkins and Sampson going ahead. But
And Travion Williams as well. I mean, he's been a guy that's just been fighting for a position, and he was able to go out there and show a little bit about what he can do.
You saw meaningful yards from both those. I mean, Rocket had 42 yards, on the ground receiving. Travion Williams had 38. I guess when we talk about silver linings, and Ashley, since you said you broke your fibula, you can shed a little more light on this, which I didn't know that happened to you. That sounds awful. It's got to be good that it's not a knee thing, right? That's what Fred and I were talking about earlier. That is a longer recovery, right? I would imagine so. And especially when it comes to running back, you really don't want to be dealing with that stuff with the knee. So I've seen some different people online saying like 4 to 5 months. I don't know. I guess you can shed more light on a recovery from that. Give us your story,
well,
please.
The thing is, I did not. It's not even a good story, but yeah,
you broke your fibula, right?
The thing is, he did dislocate his ankle, so that that throws a wrench in things too. But mine was a glorified story. It was my All-Star game. They were rolling. When you're at the
basketball,
end of the
right?
Basketball,
okay.
right? And they're rolling the balls at the end of the court to rack them up. Yeah, I was going up for like a little layup. We were playing around. I came back down and broke my fibula on the ball. Like, there's not even no fancy story with this.
How long was your recovery?
It was the All-Star game, so it was like a couple of months, but it didn't affect me going into the next season because I went to college after that and I played. There was a lot of downtime. Took a little time off in the summer, but for the fibula, it was more just like stay off it, put it in a cast, and kind of go on and let it go from that point.
First-hand analysis.
I will say I did not
Holder.
dislocate my ankle, so I'm not sure how that was. But we did get a chance to hear from some of the guys as well as head coach Kevin Stefanski on just this devastating injury for Quinshon Judkins.
Quinshon had an ankle dislocation, fractured his fibula. Obviously very disappointed for the young man. He will bounce back. I have zero doubt about that with him. But obviously you never want to see that with any of your guys, and that was so he'll get surgery. He'll be back in no time. I know that.
Young guy is tough, man. You can tell he loves it. You can tell he wants to be great. He's always come up to me or some of the other older guys, some of the veterans, and just trying to get a little bit of knowledge here and there. And someone who just has that kind of passion for the game and dog in him, who just attacks every single day. I can't be more excited to play with someone like that. So I'm praying for his recovery as quick as possible, and he just takes the necessary steps, and he's back on the field as soon as possible, but healthy as possible.
It really hurt that Quinshon went down. Like me and Quinshon was in the room talking yesterday till like 11:30, just about life, just about everything, because the type of person he is, and I know he been through a lot, and just building that bond with the rookie class, like having that be the new energy, and kind of maintain on track, stay on track with everything. So knowing that he went down with that, it was definitely sad. It was definitely sad because I'm like, backside, I can't throw this slant. They covering it. They in like two. I can't throw this slant. He heavy inside. So, yeah. So that was my only option. That was my option with throwing it. So I feel bad because like I threw it. But yeah. Truthfully, yeah, it hurts. It hurts.
Wishing Quinshon all the best in his recovery because, this is their future at the running back position. So you hope he can be back better than ever. That wasn't the only injury of the day. Shedeur Sanders, that pinky looked gnarly. I was looking at a clip. It looks like it got stepped on by a Browns player, but I couldn't see who. but it was like all.
And it looked like the nail was lifting
Yeah,
up.
and
I was like,
I've
"Ooh."
had that happen before, and that hurts. I know we had Shador kind of walk us through what happened there because everyone was watching it going, what happened?
And he explains it in a pretty funny way.
I don't know. You can look online and see what my finger look like if you want. I'm sure they got the details on there. I don't know. My pinky was just like, I put in my hand warmer. I'm like, well, how's my pinky not getting cold? I mean, why is it not getting warm? Then, like, I threw Quinshon like a little route down there. Then it like kind of was a little high. And I was like, dang. So then it was over with. And then I did everything, to come back because I didn't want to put like Dylan in a bad situation, like since when I was a 2. And like it's tough. It's tough to play that role because you don't get reps, you don't get anything. And I was talking to him, I said, bro, my bad, bro, for putting you in that situation, because it's not ideal and I want, him to be prepared whenever he was out there. So that's really how all that went.
Shout out to Shador trying to make sure that Dylan Gabriel is now okay in his position. Like, listen, I know you're a 2.
He's like, I've been there.
He's like, I've been there, done that. But, you need to make sure. Just like, I felt so bad because when being in the stadium today, when Dylan came in, just for that one play, I mean, the amount of boos that erupt, and I'm sure you heard it, Fred, is just incredible because it's like, I feel so bad for Dylan because he wasn't going to get a fair shake. As soon as they announced those 2 words, Shador, Sanders, it was pretty much over for him, Fred. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's from the moment they drafted Sanders that almost like negated drafting Gabriel because, from the outside of it, it put him in a very difficult position. He had to play lights out from day one. He had no room for error. And, as far as I do think Sanders, had some growth today. He wanted to have more completions. He completed 70% of his passes, and that's a positive. You still saw a mistake or 2. That first interception that led to a touchdown was not his fault. He hit Judkins. Unfortunately, Judkins hurt now. But between the 1 and the 0, on his jersey for the interception, they were driving then. So overall, he called it building blocks, and I could see that. And you can see where this is going.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty clear that now seeing the sample size that you look at it and you do say that Shador is better than Dylan. I think people can agree and say that. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but I do feel like on the field we've seen a better sample size of Shador, or at least being able to do a plethora of things compared to what Dylan was able to do in his sample size. I'm not saying he can't be an NFL quarterback or whatever, but for what the Browns are at least doing right now, it seems like Shador is working. I'm not saying he's the end-all, be-all for them, but definitely right now, which will be interesting to see how that moves forward for the Browns next year. But we're going to take a really quick break, and then we're going to do our true or false question of the week, and it is brought to you by Leah Doherty, not Mark Schwab. So we know this question is going to be good. Stay with us. We're going to take a real quick break.
Welcome back. It is the true false question of the week. Normally Mark Schwab is doing it. Today you got me. It's not an exciting question.
Oh, we're starting off terrible.
I'm sorry. It's something we have to talk about. We're going to talk about next week, Browns, Steelers at home. True, false, Myles Garrett will get the sack record next Sunday.
Oh, true. 1,000% he's going to get it. And it would be even greater if he did it on Mason Rudolph and not Aaron Rodgers.
I thought you were just going to say even better against the Steelers.
Oh, no. I mean, I'm a Steelers fan. Everyone knows that. So, like, I have no problem. Some people I realize out here in Cleveland, they're scared to say they're fans of other people. Like, I don't have time for that. I'm a Steelers fan. If you want to talk about it, let's talk about it.
It could be a whole nother segment.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's do it. Let's do it. We've got all the time.
I'd say false.
Really?
Whoa! Aaron Rodgers is not going to let that happen. I mean, I don't think – I saw the list of all of Myles' sacks. Now, he hadn't played against Rodgers a lot, but I know that I don't think he got one the first time they played. Rodgers is notorious for getting rid of that ball quick, and he is not going down and being the record. he is smart enough at this stage of his game. You know, I'm not saying that that's what I'm wishing. I think Myles would love that, but I just can't see that happen. I think his best chance is in the last game against the Bengals, you know.
You know, and what's interesting is we remember this part is I think Aaron Rodgers, to your point, would probably not want that to happen, because remember when they asked Myles Garrett in the offseason about Aaron Rodgers joining the AFC North, and he was like, it's a good opportunity to put him in the graveyard. And I think that would just be amazing.
Bulletin
that
board
if he
material.
did break the record on him and use those exact terminology, like
Well, if
that happens, that's gonna have to be a question that we got to make sure we ask that.
It's
Leah.
at home and all that, but as far as I just, you know, I'm just not sure. And we ought to talk about this. That was a little hokey today. Mason Graham gets the sack, and then they change it to a split between Myles Garrett.
So
and
what do you think that's about? What is that accredited to the fact? Is that Vegas odds? Or they're like, no, we got to make the Vegas people happy? Or what is that?
I don't know how the
statisticians
statisticians do it, but I think Josh Allen looked to me like he just wanted to avoid going in the end zone, so he dove inside at the one, and then it was just touching him. And I thought Graham touched him, but maybe
he
from
did.
the replay, it looked like he did.
Yeah,
it was
he
a
did.
gimme sack all the way around, you know. But I'm like, why did you make the change? You know, it's so you were in the press box. They're going like, whatever happened, they go, hey, and by the way, we're changing that play to a sack for Myles Garrett. You know, it just felt like, wow, they're just putting
Trying to
this
give it to
together,
him.
you know, because everybody remembers Brett Favre took almost a knee when Strahan got him for his record. So there's that.
Yeah, we also have Myles Garrett talking about not breaking the record or tying the record today after the game.
Usually, they kind of leave, Dion on an island and kind of just let him, do his thing. He kind of has a unique set, unique variety. But the guard was coming down quickly, and then they were throwing the bunch on my side tight, so that I had to line up inside, and they passed the ball, and I really didn't have an angle to get to an edge. So they threw a bit of peculiarities at me to try to keep me honest and kind of contain me where they wanted me, and they did a good job.
I know you wanted it to come in a win, but is there a level of disappointment that you didn't get that sack record today because you're so close?
A bit for my family. I wanted to get it for them. Have some family show up. They felt like it was going to be the game in the moment, and so definitely want to give them something to smile about. For me, I always keep the main thing. I want to win. It's a close game. We were a little bit too lax in the run, a little step behind, and not as physical as we needed to be. So that's the stuff I think about. The record's great, but the team record is what keeps me up at night. The sack record, it'll be there. Not only do I want to be the best player I can, I know that I can't take a game off because I owe it to the guys next to me. I work my ass off in the off season and during the year to be at the very best shape, and I'm not going to waste any of my God-given gifts because of any record or anything that anybody has to say. Now, I'm going to go out there and give 100% for myself, but for my teammates, for my family, I'm a representation of them. I want them to be proud of me, and I want something to be proud of when I lay my head down.
Okay, one sack away, Myles Garrett, from breaking the NFL single-season record. I have not answered the true-false yet. This is hard because we had talked about Rodgers. I don't think Rodgers is going to let that happen. However, I'm going to err on the side of positivity in the joyful Christmas spirit, and I'm going to say that against the Steelers, Myles Garrett will at least get one sack and break the record. That's my positive outlook.
I think now as you're getting to only having 2 games left, I think it's a little bit clear that he's probably not going to get the to 25. That's what he said he wanted to get to. Most likely that's probably not going to happen. But, a big reason for that, why that did not happen today, definitely was Quinshon Judkins. I think he did a pretty good job with that matchup when it came to Myles Garrett, and Myles knows it. And, he did a really good job of just making sure they contain him and protecting Josh Allen today. But, yeah.
They only threw 19 times, too. They ran
True,
the ball
yeah.
at will.
The run game was working perfectly for them. So what was the point? If you have a player for 100 yards in that first quarter, in that first half. You already know what you need to do, and they did limit him, in that second half. But still, the damage was done. He already gave you a touch. Already gave you a touchdown and 100 yards in that first half. Two touchdowns to finish the night. I mean, and it's not like they didn't know that they were going to James Cook. It's incredible the things that they know is going to happen and they still allow it to happen. But we're going to take a really quick break and we're going to look ahead at the rest of the season for the Browns. All right, guys, not really much left. You got the Pittsburgh Steelers at home next weekend, and then after that, you wrap things up with the Cincinnati Bengals. So, I mean, then after that, the season is over, and it is time to get to the offseason and figure out what the heck they are going to do. We'll probably have some firings. But what do we think is going to happen next weekend with the Pittsburgh Steelers, guys? That is going to be a huge game because the Steelers need that for the AFC North quickly.
Yeah, the Browns always play them well at home. They play terrible over in Pittsburgh, but they play them well at home. If they played like they did against the Bills, I can see them winning this game. It's now, is it more to your advantage to win one of these last two or not? But with that said, I think they'll play them tough, but in the end, I don't see them being able to pull off the win, especially with Judkins down now. That's a better defense than what the Bills have.
I think that regardless, when it's the Steelers, guys are going to play hard, even if nothing is on the line for them anymore. Again, we're going to be talking about the storyline of Myles Garrett. Is he going to be able to get the sack record? So guys on defense are going to get up for that. But, yeah, I think guys are always going to compete when it comes to the Steelers. It's going to be interesting, to Fred's point, to see what's going to happen with this offense now that you don't have Quinshon. But we've seen good promise from Isaiah Bond, Harold Fannin. So, yeah, I don't think they're going to close out this game, but hopefully it'll be competitive if it's anything based off what we saw today.
And not surprising. I mean, the Pittsburgh Steelers are favored already. They're kind of floating between this 3.5 and 4.5. So, it was crazy because this game with the Bills was actually a 10.5 point favorites. Like, that kind of jumped up huge. So who would have thought, like you said, the 23-20. I think it is going to be a tough game. Like you said, they always tend to play the Steelers hard. And that's just because there's so much hate between those teams. Right. I always tell a story, and I told a story to my news director when I got hired here. I was like, the one story I had is like I was a young kid. I was in Pittsburgh, I want to say it was, or Cleveland. I was in Cleveland. Came to the game. Cleveland won that game. I don't remember what year it was. And when I was leaving, I mean, there was grown men cussing me out. My dad was like about to fight like other people.
Like you're in
I'm
Philly.
Like, dang, why y'all so aggressive? You know what I mean? It's just a game. I'm like I'm a little child out here. You guys are cursing me out
care.
because you guys won a game. I was like, this is incredible.
I expect next week to be similar today. I took a video. It was like Buffalo Bill West.
Seriously.
There was more Bill, and next week will be Steelers all over the place. Fans.
What are those little goofy towels called? I'm just kidding.
I mean, cut it out. We know you are very.
I have no dog in this fight. I'm from Texas.
Woman, I know, but don't worry. I will make sure I get you a terrible towel. Okay, shout out to you, Leah. I'm going to make sure that I get you a good towel. But all right, we're going to wrap things up here on Off the Leash. All right, the Browns, man, they stay within this one, within, a good 3 points. Who would have thought? You know what I mean?
Not us.
Definitely not us.
Yes, it is.
23-20. We'll catch you later next week after the Browns and the Steelers face off. See you later.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.